Okay, so today we are going to talk through owning a floral business. Now, we're starting our business unit, and this is kind of lead us into starting our own business in the floral industry. Now, there's lots of different sectors and aspects of the plant industry, and I want you to be thinking about that. But I want you to take notes on this and view this assignment as through the lens of that you're going to start your own business. So view this with some curiosity. View this with some, if I was to do something like this, what would it look like? And you may notice that my setting has changed a little bit because the dog could not leave me alone. And in the first video, he was playing with the ball. So if you hear a snort, or as I like to call a schnuckle, he kind of has these little snorty things that he does. That's him. And in one of my videos, he completely jammed up the sound because of the noise that he makes. So if you hear that in the background, quit it. I apologize. He's very anxious. So he's just going to help me do some lecturing today. So um, we're going to be talking about owning your own floral business. Now, first, before we open any business, we need to look at the market research and what our clientele is going to look like. So before we open any business, we want to think, what's the business for and who is it going to serve? So we're going to take a look at that today. So owning a business. So who is our market? Now this is a couple of years old and this is a little bit older, but a majority of our customer base is going to be this. What we like to call our Generation X. And these are people that are a little bit older than maybe I am in their 30s and 40s. I'm more of in this Generation Y, so like late 20s, early 30s. Um, so that's something that you need to think about. You need to think of who your customer base is. So there's some market research that shows us that a majority of people that are going to buy flowers are people in their late 20s, early 30s, for different reasons. People who are getting married, people who are still running events. Those are people that are going to be buying flowers. So annually, the floral industry brings in $6 billion. Folks, that is a lot of money in this industry that can be available to you. It employs over 83,000 people, and there are over 35,000 businesses involved in the floral industry alone. So there's a lot of revenue to be had from this. There's a lot of money to be made from this industry. So it's something that you need to think about. So in order to open any business, and I want to open your lens to this is any business that you want to make. And I know that I love my class, I love what I teach, but I know that not all of you are going to be florists. So if you want to open and become an entrepreneur and open your own business, auto parts, hair salon, floral design studio, whatever that is, there are 6 essential factors to being successful in this. One, you need to be passionate. It should be more to the owner than what it is. It should mean something to you. And I told a lot of you guys I've opened my own business. And for me, that business means a lot to me more than just making some money on the side. It's a reflection of me, it's a reflection of the things that I enjoy doing. So that's something that you should think about. You need to enjoy and like what you do. The second is that you should have a solid foundation to build a plan. So have some, who is the clientele that you're going to sell to? What are your goals as a business? And we'll talk about those things, but you got to have some goals and you got to have a foundation. Some of the things that Lindsay Hickman talked about from the Barn and Pantry, you've got to have those. Number 3, you need to be good at working with other people and specifically customer relations. And I don't care what business or industry that you decide to go in, you've got to be good at working with people. And there's a reason why in FFA we take kids to conferences and conventions and have them do speaking contests. It's because it teaches them to speak and work well with other people. It's an essential thing. So if you didn't know this about that in your high school time, now's the time to start building those things, because no one wants to work with someone that is terrible to work with or isn't good at working with other people. So it's something you should think about. You need to emphasize quality work, like some of the things we do in our shop. You need to be reliable And you've got to be able to provide some service. We talk about serving others in FFA quite a bit. In our floral shop, we talk about delivering quality product. We want you to be on time to class. These are not just things that we teach you because we like holding your feet to the fire. It's because these are the things that are going to help make you successful. Um, Most importantly, there's some logistical things that come into play. For me, I would think that my biggest weakness is probably this area. It's the procedures, it's the products, it's pricing, it's the strategic things of a business that are monitored and evaluated. Your taxes, really hard things to learn, and you'll pick those things up along the way, but you've got to be willing to do them and to have those right procedures in place. The last thing is that you have to be willing to adapt and change. Specifically in the floral industry right now, um, you have to be willing to adapt to these trying times. A lot of businesses are not doing floral work right now because there's weddings that aren't happening. Events with lots of people are not happening right now. So how are you going to change? Are you going to do kits you send home to people so that they have a project to do at home? How are you going to modify and sell your product in a time where people aren't buying flowers? A shift in technology. Maybe the market changes. Maybe people are more into preserved or dried flowers this year. What does that look like? So those are some things that you need to be successful. Now, that being said, what type of business do you want to open? And so the most common and the most sought after one would probably be the retail florist. First, you need a good location, keeping in mind all of the equipment that you're going to need. And you want to think about what type of atmosphere would you provide. If we're looking at this one here, we're probably going to provide more of a country atmosphere, a little bit more low key, a little bit more country chic. So that's something that you might want to think about. What type of atmosphere do you want to provide? Something like this, or is it maybe something more high end? So think about your options for property and your project. You'll have to think about that. Is it going to be like Dixon Florist in a main street in town? Is it going to be in a strip mall? Is it going to be in a mall? Are you going to be maybe the floral department in Safeway or Sprouts? Maybe you're a few blocks out of town. Keep in mind all the things that you need to fit in your space. You can do a lot with a small space. You may need some storage space. A lot of florists use storage containers. And again, think about some of the atmosphere that you might want to provide. Now, the next one is kind of the connection to retailers. And if you think back to our industry unit, there is a pathway that our flowers travel through. So it goes from our producer to maybe our processor to our wholesaler, which is this part right here, and that connects it to the retailer. So a wholesaler might be Flora Fresh in Sacramento or Sequoia Floral in Santa Rosa. It's in the business of perishables. You're supplying product, plants, flowers, greens, foliage to the retailers that need it. So you need to be prepared to work around flower schedules. One of the things that Flora Fresh did right before the pandemic hit was they had to get rid of all of their stock for free because they had a huge order coming in from growers that needed a place to keep it. So they had to give away their stock for free. Great for me because I went and picked up some flowers I could dry, but not really great for Flora Fresh. So those are some things you need to think about. You may need an office space to manage orders, come up with marketing. You will need refrigerated space or maybe a humidity controlled room for tropicals. And you've got to be willing to stand by your product and know your growers and know that you want to deliver a quality product. Your warehouse space doesn't need to be huge. It just should be large enough to provide plenty of storage and extras. You need reliable refrigerators. If they break, you've got, 200 square feet of flowers that's got to move. That's, could be really bad. You need to ensure deliveries are always on time. For me, as someone who's in event planning, with things that we do, I need to make sure that things get delivered on time on specific days. And some wholesalers will do events. So like Strelitzia and Davis is a wholesaler. They're a retailer and they're also a wholesaler, but they also will do floral design classes, which is really cool. So that's an option for a business that you could run, is a wholesaler that does retail and classes. Maybe you just want to do what I did, which is just do floral design classes. Maybe you just want to do it. One of the things I saw was a flower bar. That's a cart that rolls around downtown and sells cut flowers. There's all sorts of really cool things that you could do. The other part of this is the greenhouse industry, which is huge right now. Or you could even do a plant store. Really great store in Sacramento called Propagate that just does flowers, but they also do like plant care products. They do ceramics, so they connect with local artists to sell ceramic pots. Um, and they also do plant classes and plant nights, which is awesome. There's some advantages and disadvantages. If we're in California, stock can work year round because we're in a great climate, and nursery products is one of our top 5 commodities. But if you're in a place in the Midwest that has really harsh winters, you may need to switch your inventory or close up until it warms back up. You could be in the industry of wholesale floral supplies. Stop it. Which is just the flowers. Maybe you don't have a green thumb. Maybe you're like too stressed out about making the flowers die. Sell me my foam, my containers, my dried botanicals, any little niche thing that I might need. You can be in the industry of just supplies. Um, its the location of the store is not really going to be important as in a retail shop. You could be in an industrial park. Um, as for me, I need to be close enough that I can get things last minute to a customer. Um, I may need to have annual clearance sales. There is a wholesaler that's connected to FloraFresh that is a wholesaler, and you may need to clean up weekly or shift your product if things change. Um, just some things and some tips at the end. If you are interested in starting a business or being involved in the floral industry, one is that you need to get hands-on experience. You're getting that hands-on experience right now. Or you can offer to try and get a job in someone else's shop first, sweep up after them. Again, you're in a class that helps you do that. And try everything: vendor relations, customer service, arranging, ordering, and anything else that may be thrown at you. I worked in sales before I became a teacher. I didn't really like it, but I had to work at a lot of different things that helped me in my job now, because sometimes different jobs will kind of have skills that will layer on afterwards. Um, Having a degree can be helpful. An associate's degree from a junior college is always good, or you can just get a degree in business if you want to open up your own business later. There's also tons of floral schools. The CFA is California Florist Association is a design school. They also offer some online classes. You're in a class right now, you'll have an industry recognized certification when you leave here. So there's some things you can think about. Let me know if you have any questions. Make sure that you submit your questions at the end.